This is the plaintiff, Carolyn Gardner Hodnick. She says she bought a car from the defendant, and the very next day the thing was dead. The defendant repaired it, and a few days later it was dead again. The guy unloaded a lemon on her. She's not going to let him get away with it and is suing here and now for the $2,414.50 she's owed. This is the defendant, Jeffrey. He says the car the plaintiff bought was a 1999 Cougar, which was state certified as roadworthy at the time of the sale. He's been in business 30 years, didn't just start selling cars yesterday, and did absolutely positively nothing wrong. He's accused of selling a sour car.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says the day after she bought a car from the defendant, it died, but the defendant says it was a 1999 Cougar and in fine shape. It's the case of the Cougar that didn't purr.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Caroline Gardner Hodnick?
Yes.
You are suing Jeffrey. You've asked us not to use your last name. You're actually suing his company. You're the owner?
Yes, I am.
Okay, where you purchased the car. For $2,414.50 that you want returned to you, and the purchase price of the car plus repairs that you put into it, because according to you, you bought a lemon. Tell me what's going on.
Okay. On February 5th, my husband and I went to his business to pay for the car. He actually made provisions for us on a Sunday. He's usually not open on a Sunday. Prior to this...
Had you ever done business with him before?
Yes, in the past. My husband bought a car from him a few years ago, and the car was perfect. That's how we knew of him. So it's not like we just went to, some stranger or anything like that. Okay. So we did do business with him in the past. So nonetheless, we went there on, I believe it was the 5th. We paid for the car. He was there on a Sunday. We tried to start the car.
What kind of car?
1999 Cougar.
And how much did you pay?
It was $2,000.
Okay. And then what happened?
Okay. And then what had happened was when we went to go start the car did not start.
At the dealership?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So he was like, well, I'll have my mechanic look at it and everything like that. And I'm like, well, okay. So the next day he calls me and he tells me that, it needs a new starter. But he didn't make any money off the car when the guy traded the car in, and that I would have to pay for half of the starter. Never produced a receipt or anything, told me it was $175.
Why didn't you just walk away?
He told me there was no refunds.
How could there not be a refund when the car won't even come off the lot?
I can't answer
Why
that.
would you put up with such an answer?
I have things here saying how many times I've called him, and he said it's written on my receipt.
Why would there not be a refund on a car that hasn't even, you can't even deliver it? You can't even, can't even come
well, there would have been a refund if she didn't want the car. I would have gladly given her our money back.
So do you tell them that I have to put in a new starter, it's going to cost X, do you want to back out? What do you want to do? What is it you say to them?
No, I didn't ask if she wanted to back out because she didn't say she wanted the car. Okay. She didn't want to back out of the deal. She wanted the car.
So when you say to them, I put in a new starter and guess what? You owe me half. What do they say?
I told her it was costing $400 to repair the starter. I told her I sold the car to her at cost, and if she wouldn't mind paying 50% of it.
And she said...
And she said, okay, she will do it.
Did she ever say to you, no, I guess I just want my money back?
No.
Do you say that you ever said to him, forget it, I don't want to go through with the deal?
Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, you're getting...
That's not in your notes, you know that, right? And your complaint that you filed, what you say is, he told me I needed to pay $200 more to get it fixed. I said, whatever. And I paid it. That's not the same as saying I tried to back out and he wouldn't let me.
Because I said to him, what are my other options?
But that's not what your complaint says, though. Are you trying to make a case better now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so go on from there. You decide you're going to pay the other half the cost of the starter, right. And then what happens?
So then I picked up the car Monday the 6th from the auto mechanic. We drove it the 7th, the 8th. On Thursday, the check engine lights come on. I called him and I said to him, the check engine lights are coming on. There's a grinding sound when I start the car. And he was like, okay, there's a 1-year warranty on the starter. Bring it to me if there's any problems. So I parked the car in my driveway Friday. I go to start the car and the car does not start at all. I call him, I leave him a message. It's 10 o'clock at night, expecting to get a phone call back from him the following day. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, no phone call, nothing. I call him, I said, Jeff, the car won't start. And he's like, well, what's wrong with it? I said, well, I'm not a mechanic, And he was like, well, what do you mean it won't start? I said, exactly, it does not start. So I had the car towed to his business on the 13th. And then apparently he had a mechanic that he deals with fix it. I went to go pick it up because I called Jeff and to say, you know, what's going on with the car. And, he never got back to me. So then I called him on Wednesday. He never called.
Wait, who paid for the mechanic? Did you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so then what happened?
So then I called him to ask him, I told him that the car is making that grinding sound still and a humming sound. I actually have audio tape of a humming sound that's coming from my car now. Every time I start the car, it's a loud humming sound. So I called him. I actually left him a letter at his place of business asking him to call me back, because the car is making a funky sound. The check engine lights are coming on and everything. No phone call, no nothing. I called his place of business, and the person that stays there with him, I said, he didn't call me back. And he was like, well, you know him, he never calls you back. And I said, okay. I said, but I need to know what's going on with the car. He's like, well, the car's at your house. I work nights, so obviously I'm sleeping during the daytime or trying to sleep during the daytime. So I said to him, well, Mr. So-and-so, I said, well, I don't understand, where's my car? And he's like, it's in your driveway. I said, well, where's my keys? He goes, well, I don't know, check between your doors. I go outside, they're in my mailbox.
Wait, so they had delivered the car to your house?
He delivered the car to my house and left the keys in my mailbox.
Okay.
No phone call, no discussion of anything.
Because you just didn't want to deal with her anymore?
No, that's not the case.
What is it?
Well, on February 15th, the car was left on the premises at the dealership. And she wrote a letter to me about what was wrong with it. I don't know if you want me to read it to you.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to see it.
Okay. This is the letter. She has several things she's complaining is wrong with the car.
Okay. Go on.
Now, she put down the transmission was slipping. It's making a rumbling sound. After 10 days she owned the car, she said after 20 miles she drove this car on that particular day, all these things broke down on it.
Okay.
Now, I started the car up. The check engine light was on, and it was showing that it was low on antifreeze. I looked in the overfill was full, but I added just a little bit antifreeze into it. I started the car up, drove it up the block, and the check engine light and the water light went off. There was no slipping in the transmission and no rumbling sound in any wheel that she was talking about.
Okay, did the car have more than 100,000 miles when you bought it?
Yes.
Was there a warranty involved in your transaction?
No.
Well, all right, because the premise we start from is what was your contract?
Okay.
There are the state requires warranties on certain types of cars that have certain types of mileage from used car dealers. But when it's over 100,000 miles, when you're buying a 1999 Cougar, you have to know that some issues are going to come with the program here. All right. So when it's over a car that has over 100,000 miles, then it's what his obligation is to give you a car that is safe, let's say, in safe condition at the time of sale. Safe condition at the time of sale. So if there's some other warranty that he gave to you, something else that made you think that your transmission's warranted.
No.
What else did you complain about in the letter, on the note when you left the car there? The water light came on, the check engine light is on, there's a humming sound, the right wheel rumbles. I drove the car yesterday for 20 miles before all this started. Please fix it, the transmission is slip. If you want all this stuff under warranty, you need to show me what warranty it's coming under.
Basically, what I was just getting at with him was on the 9th, all these lights started happening. I was in New Jersey. I told him there was, there was like the car started overheating. I only had the car for 4 days. Basically, what I wanted from him was my money back.
Okay, hold on 1 second. You write a note on February. I know you want your money back.
Correct.
The problem is you're only going to get it if you're entitled to it legally.
I understand.
And that's what this exploration here is about.
So you buy a car like this, like it's 13 years old, doesn't start at the dealership. Do you walk away from something like that?
Absolutely. That's your time to check under the hood. And if it doesn't start, then you don't buy it.
Even if you loved it, would you buy it?
Absolutely not.
I mean, come on, no brainer, guys. Going inside the courtroom.
Your letter's dated February 15th.
Right.
And your letter says, I drove the car yesterday for 20 miles before this all started. So it is not true that this started February 9th.
It is because the car wouldn't start on the 10th.
No, I know about the starting problem, but what I can't allow you to do is bring in problems that happened on the 14th and put them into the 9th and then say, that there's a problem. See, if I'm buying a car and I can't drive the car off the dealership, it's adios to the dealer. But there's no evidence that that's what you did. You were getting a good deal on it. You liked, it's probably pretty. Is it pretty?
It was a nice car.
Yeah. Anybody have a picture of the car?
No, I don't have a picture.
No?
It was a very nice
car. What's the video? What have you got there?
Of the engine making the humming
okay, yeah,
sound.
let's see it.
Yes. This is after he repaired the starter that it started making this sound.
Well, but when you picked up the car, was it making the sound?
No.
Okay.
It happened about an hour later, and that's when I started contacting him, asking him, can you listen to the sound? And every time he said to me, I don't hear this noise. But obviously I'm not crazy.
Did you ever take the car to another mechanic who would tell you this is what's wrong with it?
I'm very stupid, no.
You have a warranty on the starter. Absolutely. Now I need what we call in court proof. I need proof that the problems you're having are a starter problem. I just need you to prove to me that it's not just that you've changed your mind about the car. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything from a mechanic regarding what that you have a starter problem that needs attending to?
Nothing from a mechanic.
See, the way it should work is that you would have another mechanic look at the starter, say the starter's a problem. You would tell me how you don't trust his mechanic. You don't want to take it back there, even though there's a warranty. You would show me that it's going to cost you $400 to fix it, and I would make him pay you $400. That's how it would work. What you can't do is turn around and sue him for every penny you put into the car because you've now changed your mind about all these other things that are wrong with the car. You have to prove to me it's a starter problem. The warranty you have is for the starter. Or any way, if you could prove to me in any way that the car was unsafe at the time of sale, which you also don't have any evidence of. My verdict in this case is for the defendants.
Well, the plaintiff came in with some evidence, but not enough evidence to form a full case, so you lose this verdict. What's your feeling?
I think it's horrible because he's done this to somebody in the past.
Well, why didn't you bring in evidence that it was, in fact, the starter that was the problem? Because you did have him saying, if there's a problem, I'm going to change it for you, about the starter. Mm-hmm. Well, why didn't you prove it was the starter then?
Because I didn't have enough time.
Right down there.
Sure.
All right, so come on in here.
Yes, sir.
You stuck her with a lemon, right?
No, wrong.
No? What happened?
No. Nothing. The car was a good car. She had a change of heart. Maybe she didn't want the car anymore, but it's not my responsibility if she didn't like it.
What about that noise an hour after she drove it off?
She didn't have any noise an hour after she drove it, and she never had a noise. Mm-hmm. There was no noise. The car was a very nice car. There was nothing wrong with it. It was New York State inspected. When I sold it, the tires were brand new. The brakes were brand new. The car was a well-kept car.
Was that noise in her head?
I never heard the noise, and she said when she picked it up, there was no noise in the car.
Okay. Harvey?
You know, everybody thinks you can only get a warranty on a new car. It's not true. You can get a warranty on a used car, and even if they say you can't, it's always a negotiable point. It's what you end up getting.